Some people walk into a room and already know something is off. They notice the forced smile. They catch the quick eye shift. They feel the tension no one else feels. Most people think this is a gift, a superpower, something to envy. But Zeno knows the truth. This kind of awareness is exhausting. It is lonely. It pulls you away from people instead of closer to them. Because when you see everything, you can never fully relax. You can never just enjoy the moment. Today, we explore the hidden psychological weight of seeing what others simply cannot see. So what is actually happening inside the mind of someone like Zeno? Science has a clear answer, and it has nothing to do with magic or mystery. Psychologist Erik Erikson spent his life studying how people develop their sense of identity and how early experiences shape the way they read the world around them. What he found was simple. Some people grow up learning to pay very close attention, not because they want to, but because they had to. And over time, that attention becomes automatic. It becomes wired into how their brain processes everything. This is where it starts. The human brain takes in millions of signals every single second. Most people filter out the majority of those signals without even knowing it. But Zeno's brain filters out almost nothing. Every facial shift, every pause, every change in tone, every look that lasted half a second too long, all of it gets processed. All of it gets stored. Psychologist Albert Mehrabian showed through his research that only a small portion of human communication actually comes from words. The rest comes from tone of voice and body language. Most people only hear the words. Zeno hears everything else too. This is why Zeno can walk into a room where two people just had an argument and feel it immediately. No one said a word, but the air feels different. The body language is stiff. The smiles are slightly delayed. Zeno's nervous system picks it all up like a quiet antenna that never shuts off. And then there are micro-expressions. These are tiny flickers of emotion that cross a person's face in a fraction of a second. Too fast for most people to notice, but not for Zeno. When someone says one thing and feels another, that gap shows up on their face. Just briefly, just for a moment, but it is there, and Zeno catches it every single time. When a friend says, "I'm fine," but their jaw tightens just slightly. When a colleague says, "Great idea," but their eyes go flat. Zeno's brain registers the mismatch instantly. Something does not add up, and that feeling does not go away. Now here is where things get heavy, because seeing the mismatch is one thing. But Zeno does not just see the lie. Zeno sees what is underneath it, the fear, the shame, the insecurity hiding behind the performance. A person who brags loudly is not confident. They are scared of feeling small. A person who criticizes everyone around them is not superior. They are deeply afraid of being seen as not enough. Zeno sees all of this, clearly, automatically, without even trying. And that is when the three traps begin. Trap 1. Becoming the person nobody believes. Alfred Adler, one of the most respected psychologists of the last century, wrote about the deep human need to belong, to feel accepted by the group. But Zeno keeps seeing things the group refuses to see, and that creates a painful problem. Human relationships run on a kind of silent agreement. We all pretend a little. We soften the truth. We let certain things slide. It keeps things comfortable. It keeps the peace. But Zeno cannot fully participate in that agreement, because the truth keeps showing up, loudly, constantly. Zeno meets someone new. Within minutes, something feels off. The charm feels rehearsed. The eye contact feels calculated. The stories feel inflated. Zeno pulls back. Zeno stays cautious. And then the people around Zeno say, "You're too hard on people," or "Why can't you just enjoy it?" Because Zeno already saw the cracks before anyone else did. And in the workplace, it gets worse. Zeno watches a coworker play the victim, complaining, collecting sympathy. But Zeno also sees that same coworker avoiding responsibility, shifting blame, and using emotion to control the room. Zeno says something honest, something simple, and suddenly, Zeno is the problem. Cold, harsh, unsympathetic. This is what psychoanalysts call projection. When someone's hidden behavior gets too close to being exposed, the ego fights back. The person does not look inward, they point outward, and Zeno becomes the target. So Zeno learns to go quiet, to smile and say nothing. But that silence leaves a mark, a slow and heavy one. Trap 2. The mind that never rests. When Zeno stops trusting what people say, Zeno starts trusting only personal analysis. And this is where observation becomes a trap. Every message that arrives a little late feels like distance. Every compliment feels like it has a hidden purpose. Every moment of silence from a partner feels like the beginning of something bad. Zeno is not being irrational. Zeno is trying to protect against pain. But the protection becomes its own kind of prison. This is what psychologists call confirmation bias. Once Zeno decides something might be wrong, the brain starts collecting only the evidence that proves it. Everything else gets filtered out. And Zeno ends up living inside a story that may not even be real. The mind wins every game, but the heart pays the price. Trap 3. Carrying what no one else will hold. There is a kind of loneliness that has no name. Zeno sits at a celebration and feels a sadness no one else feels, because Zeno can already see what is coming. Zeno watches a kind person being slowly worn down by someone selfish, and says nothing, because speaking up would only cause more pain. All of these unseen truths pile up quietly. They create a weight that never fully lifts. And the cruelest part? Because Zeno is so good at reading people, everyone feels comfortable around Zeno. Everyone opens up. Everyone shares their pain. But no one ever thinks to ask Zeno how Zeno is really doing. Because Zeno always seems so strong, so steady, so together. But underneath all of that, Zeno is exhausted. So what does Zeno do now? The sensitivity cannot be switched off. Trying to see less is not the answer. The answer is learning to respond differently to what is already being seen. And that starts with 3 quiet but powerful shifts that can change everything. If you recognize Zeno in yourself, if you have always felt things others never notice, please hear this. That awareness is not a flaw. It is not a burden you chose, but it is yours to manage. Of the 3 traps we explored today, which one hits closest to home for you? Drop it in the comments. Your honesty might help someone else feel less alone. If this video spoke to you, like it and share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe so we can keep exploring the deeper side of human psychology together. See you in the next one.